Projectiles, horizontal plane, type 2, landing below the plane. So it's important to note before we start this example that when we refer to SY, SY is the distance above the plane. So in these questions, when we're landing below the plane, the distance is going to be negative. So if we look at this example in Oliver Murphy's book, page 41, we have a golf ball is hit with an initial speed of 12 metres per second in a horizontal direction from the top of a vertical cliff, which is 49 metres high and overlooks the sea. And we're asked how far from the foot of the cliff will it hit the sea. So in other words, if we look at this diagram, we'll have our range is the distance from the cliff face to where it lands. In other words, that's S in the X direction. If it's projected vertically outwards, that means there's going to be no initial velocity in the Y direction because it's only travelling in the horizontal direction to begin with. And it lands below the plane. So if this is its starting point on our cliff and its ending point is below, then that means that SY has to be equal to the height of the cliff. But of course, it's below the starting point, so therefore it will be negative 490. So let's set up our table. So we'll have u in the x direction is 12 and u in the y direction is 0. Our acceleration is 0 in the x direction, and it's going to be minus 9.8 in the y direction. V in the x direction, well, we know that v is equal to u plus at, so that's just going to be 12. And v in the y direction, well, it's u plus at, so that's just going to be minus 9.8t. S in the x direction is ut plus a half at squared, but because a is 0, we just end up with 12t. And then s in the y direction is u plus a half at squared. So that's going to be minus 4.9t squared. So now we have all our equations we need. Well, we're looking for how far from the foot of the cliff will it hit the sea. So that's Sx. So we can see here that's going to be 12t, but we don't know what the time is. So we need to know, well, what is the time for it to hit the ground? And therefore we need to look at where it is at the end. So normally at the end we'd say Sy is equal to 0. But it's not going to equal 0 in this case because it's landing below the plane. So therefore Sy is going to equal minus 490, the height of the cliff, when it's landing. So we say on landing, Sy equals minus 490 metres because it lands below the plane. And therefore, if Sy is equal to minus 490, then we can say that minus 4.9t squared equals minus 490. So therefore, t squared equals 100, and therefore the time is plus or minus 10. But of course, we can't have negative time. There's no such thing. So therefore, we say t is equal to 10 seconds. So therefore, our range is S of x when t is 10. And therefore we'll say our range S of x is equal to 12t, which is going to be 120 metres. So in other words, the projectile lands 120 metres from the base of the cliff. Okay, so what you're going to do for me is on page 42, question 9, page 43, question 5 and question 8. And the question 1994, which will be uploaded as an assignment for you to hand in.